The 16 people on this stage tonight began as strangers, but now millions of us know them on a first-name basis. Whether you view their efforts as some deep-seated microcosm of society or nothing more than a television game, there is no denying their impact. These castaways will be appearing in advertisements like this one, out just this week, as well as on magazine covers and in newspapers for some time to come. Tomorrow morning, some even will be joining me on The Early Show.
Ladies and gents, Peridiam here, and Survivor is back. I figured with all the hubbub of returning legends and big face statues, it would only be appropriate to start this season off discussing who I believe are some of the most iconic Survivor players to date. Not like to take on a date. They did make the merge, but that's not what I'm talking about. In this video, I will, of course, be spoiling some oldies but goodies. We're gonna go pretty far back in Survivor's history to talk about who else could have their faces built into a giant head and plopped on the beaches of Fiji. Not that some of their heads weren't already giant. Think of this kind of like the Mount Rushmore of Survivor. Mount Rushmore being a famous landmark in the United States with 4 massive presidential heads carved into a mountainside, cementing their legacy and influence and iconic idol plays throughout all of modern history. Now, Rushmore only had 4 heads, but for this video, I'm going to be adding one more. I'll clarify who that will be when we get there. I'm also going to be including several other almost iconic enoughs who I think could be in the conversation, but they didn't crack my top 5. And before I get to my list, let me know who your Mount Rushmore +1 of Survivor is and why. Doesn't necessarily have to be for the same reasons as myself. So here we go. The first massive face to pack their bags and head to Fiji is get naked and paint me like one of your French girls. It's Richard Hatch from Survivor Borneo.
But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner. And it's that kind of cocky attitude that makes people really hate your guts. So that's the kind of thing I've really got to keep under wraps.
The first season, the face of Survivor, figuratively and even incorrectly, literally, Richard Hatch is Survivor. The most popular season, and once upon a time all the rage at the water cooler, Hatch was the fat naked gay guy who became a household name across the country. Borneo was a phenomenon to the T or the P, and a most iconic Survivor players vid like this one without Hatch is just, it's grounds for a Surrey-style auto-elimination. Richard, alongside the Tagi 4, pioneered the game of Survivor, but he was clearly a cut above the rest as he understood, implemented, and successfully executed revolutionary ideas that completely changed the show after just 1 season. His impact on the series is unmatched, and that's why he's one of, if not outright, the most iconic Survivor player of all time.
The winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich. Congratulations, Rich.
The next big head is going to be somewhat surprising for some of you, but also I can tell it's probably expected. When it comes to icons, you really can't, and you shouldn't, ignore the most popular player of all time. No, I'm not talking about the evil version, I'm talking about the good guy, Rupert Boneham from Survivor Pearl Islands. The tie-dye grizzly big-hearted pirate, Rupert capped off the classic era of the show by being the first player to play in back-to-back seasons, and even having an entire extra episode tacked on to the end of a season just so America could reward him with $1 million for being such a fan favorite. That fact alone is both amusing and very telling of his icon status.
According to America, 38 million votes say the favorite Survivor All-Star is Rupert.
Rupert had one of the most sympathetic stories that America fell in love with through Pearl Islands, being the lovable teddy bear who was picked on by the popular kids. His gameplay wasn't anything stellar. Through 4 seasons, I can't say he was some kind of mastermind, although I will say putting a rock in your pocket counts for something. But he was a unique character who had a ton of love and support over the years, and I think after Richard Hatch, you just know that Rupert's bushy beard is right up there for what people think of when it comes to this show. Also his sand shelter. Now, the third and fourth most iconic are in a bit of a weird spot. literally, because they already have big ol' heads crafted to their likeness. Back on the beaches of Fiji, or perhaps now dismantled somewhere in a dumpster, the third and fourth most iconic Survivor players are Boston Rob and Sandra Diaz-Twine. Ever wonder what inspires some of these video ideas? Could it be more relevant? Rob and Sandra are yet two more classic players from the original seasons of the show. Rob was from season 4, Marquesas, Sandra from season 7, Pearl Islands.
Boston Rob and Sandra, two of Survivor's most dominant winners, are back.
Rob absolutely crushed one of the most well-known seasons ever, which was All-Stars, being the runner-up to his future wife, Amber, narrowly losing 4-3. His proposal at the live reunion show right before Jeff Probst reads the final votes to declare the winner is unforgettable and has inspired many rather forgettable like-minded stunts since. But Rob did it first and probably the best, and since then he wanted to return several more times, even winning a season on his 4th try with Redemption Island. Guys, there was literally a season all about a rivalry he had with another player, Russell. Between that happening and his little bee hat, his icon status, it's real. It's real.
But I guarantee, given the opportunity, I'd gladly go back and kick your ass all over the ice.
12 seconds later.
Is that Rob? Buster Rob!
Meanwhile, adjacent to Rob, you have Sandra, who won the first time she played Survivor in Survivor Pearl Islands way back when, and then she returned again in season 20 and won that season too. Yep, the first two-time winner ever, winning back-to-back in the 2 times that she played. I gotta say that it's largely her second win in Heroes vs. Villains that catapults her to this level. While she's still a classic winner with her first dub, it's the praise that she received for winning in the second full All-Star season that puts her as one of the most iconic. It needs to be said that many people over the years have become icons for simply having style, but Sandra isn't just up here for her style, she's up here for her skill. And as she loves to say, the queen stays queen. Adios.
Does the fact that you're the only person who has won twice, does that make you best player ever?
It makes me the queen.
So that's gonna be my top 4, and if you asked me to just sort of have like a Mount Rushmore with just 4 faces instead of 5, those 4 would probably be the 4 that I put up on the mountainside, or in the Fijian jungle. And hey, we're already 50% of the way there. So who's gonna be my number 5? Who's gonna round out this top 5? A lot of names to bring up. You could include like half the cast from Borneo or Australian Outback. They were incredibly popular way back when after all. You could say Tina or Colby. What about Johnny Fairplay? What about Russell Hantz? Maybe. Stephanie LaGrosso was the first female captain, beloved after Palau. There's definitely a case to be made. You could even stretch it to say Coach or Ozzy. Look at South Pacific. I don't think that the 5th most iconic player is from a recent season. While there have been a lot of recent, stellar, potentially future icons, I think we need more time in the oven before a legacy is pronounced. So, in the end of it all, my 5th icon is between 2 people. And ultimately, I have put number 5 as Parvati Shallow. Parvati 1.0, not 2, 3, or 4.0, or any of the other women who get compared to her. I'm talking about Parv, the OG, the Queen P, winning season 16, the first fans versus favorites, and being the runner-up to Sandra in Heroes vs. Villains. 2 votes shy of swapping places with Sandra even.
I have played the game of Survivor for 114 days. I don't know if that makes me crazy, probably, but I think it also makes me one of the best players of Survivor ever. I've put my heart and soul into this game, and I'm here to win, and that's what I want.
Parvati has a massive legacy. I mean, she went into Heroes vs. Villains with a massive target and found herself as the runner-up by the end of it. And since then, it seems like 50% of all female applicants are required to list her as the previous player they'll play most similar to, or look up to, or what have you. I swear, whenever a young female player shows any signs of having some sort of flirty charm, they just get compared to Parvati.
I call her Poverty because she's using her seductive ways in her young girl attitude to kind of get people in and get attention. It's the ones that are good looking and seductive that you want to get rid of.
I have a bad feeling
All I keep thinking about is poverty, poverty, poverty. She screwed many a man.
That's for sure.
The other player I was considering as my number 5, who could be up there, is Cerie Fields from Panama, Micronesia, Heroes vs. Villains, and Game Changers. Cerie has nearly won the show 3 times. It's absurd. She was idled out, eliminated in a surprise Final 2, lost a fire-making challenge, and then was just taken off the board by default. The woman is really good at Survivor, and universally beloved, and probably goes in the top 10 for sure, but I gotta give number 5 to Parv in the end. So there you go. That is my Mount Rushmore +1 of Survivor. That is going to be my top 5 most iconic Survivor players. Will all of them ever get their own massive head statues over in Fiji? Only time will tell. But until then, let me know who you would have on your Mount Rushmore +1 of Survivor. Who would you say is the most iconic? Who's top 10 in your eyes? Either way, my name is still Peridiam saying thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this fun little video. Don't forget to let all that clout go to your head on your way out, and I will see you in the next one once I totally hide one of those giant head statues in my hair.
As I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you know, people are getting the wrong impression that you're towering over me.
Am I the best if I don't beat the one they keep telling me about?
Well, come on, Russell, you're not the best, and it ain't gonna happen.
I am the best.
But you're good.
I can't come back with that because I didn't play you.
And you didn't win.